Today we're on issue 28 and we're building these castle walls and castle corner towers out of cardboard. Let's dive straight in. In this mini-series we're creating a full castle keep. This time we're throwing out all the tools. No foam, no hot wire cutters, no 3D printers, no lasers and no airbrushes. Let's see how good we can make our terrain as cheaply as possible using basic tools. Today's goal, we're starting with the walls, the towers and the steps. Enough to create a 2 foot by 2 foot table section. There are quite a few measurements to get down, so I've created a PDF for each part of the build. They'll all be available on my Patreon, so head over there if you want a copy. The tools and materials will be using corrugated cardboard, cereal box card, tissue paper, hot glue, PVA, craft knife, ruler, paints and brushes. We're making 10-inch wall segments, 4 inches tall, 2 inches wide, perfect for MESBG or D&D. To build one wall, we'll need 2 10x4 pieces for the front and back, 2 2x4 pieces for the sides, 1 10x2 for the top piece, 1 10x2 piece for the crenulations, 1 10x1/2 for a decorative strip. We'll also cut a couple of squares diagonally for the buttresses. If you want perfect measurements, account for the thickness of your cardboard. If you don't mind being a few millimetres out, cardboard is forgiving, then just don't stress about it. I trimmed the wall height by the thickness of the top piece, about 5mm in my case, so the finished height is a clean 4 inches and stuck on the top. I trimmed 2 times the width of the cardboard for the sides and glued them in. And finished with a few small supports so the wall holds its shape during painting and gluing. Next, let's make some steps. I wanted these big enough for a model to comfortably walk up. To cut both sides at once, I start with an 8 by 4.5 inch piece of cardboard. Mark horizontal lines every 1/2 inch. Now mark out the steps. The top step is 1 inch, then 3 steps at 3/4 of an inch, the middle step at 1.5 inches, then 3/4 for the remaining steps. Mark those lines and cut them out. You'll be left with 2 mirrored pieces. Trim 1/2 inch from the larger one, and we get perfect matching pieces. For the base, cut a 7 by 1.5 inch strip. Cut a back piece 4 by 1.25 inches and glue it in place. Cover the back of the steps with thin card and cut the tops from corrugated card so they overhang slightly. Once glued in place, the steps are the perfect height for our walls and for our minis to stand on. Our final build is a little more complicated, but it's still not that difficult. We'll be making 2 towers. Cut 4 sides 4 inches wide by 7 inches tall. 2 of those need cutouts where they join the walls. For the cutout, measure 4 inches up and 2 inches in and remove that section. To get a perfect 4 inch square, subtract the thickness of your card from 2 of the panels, 1 flat side, 1 with the cutout. The top is a 4 by 4 inch square. Cut out the floor and mark 2 inches on a couple of the sides. Connect those marks and cut. The bit we just cut off is perfect for the first floor. Fill the remaining gap by measuring and adding a cardboard strip. Now for the stonework. Cut a pile of cereal box bricks, 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch rectangles. We'll need a lot of these. I recruited my wife to help me cut them. Glue them in rows, leaving slightly larger gaps than true scale. I find these larger gaps take texture better and they read really well from the tabletop distance. For the walkway, cut pieces just under 1 inch square and glue them along the top. Set that aside to dry while we make the crenulations. It's worth making a reusable template so every wall section matches and we only have to do our measurements once. Cut a piece of thick card 10 by 2 inches. Mark a 1/2 inch line along the bottom and the top. Now mark a starting point 1.5 inches, then we alternate 1 inch blocks, 1/2 inch gaps. Then I draw around a spare miniature base so we can get a nice even circle. Along the top, mark 1/2 inch gaps between the corbels for archer slits. Cut those out and now you have a perfect template you can trace for all 6 wall sections. Once your brick texture is dry, glue on the crenulations, add the decorative strip, glue on your diagonal buttresses, cover them with a small cereal box piece, and that completes one wall. Once that's done, we're ready to texture everything. Time to go back to childhood memories of paper mache. Mix a textured glue paint wash using 1 part PVA, 4 parts water and 2 parts paint. For mine, that was 100 ml of glue, 400 ml of water and 200 ml of paint. You might need to adjust your mix slightly, but this is a great starting point. You just need enough paint to cover when painting and enough glue to stick the tissue. Brush the mixture over the entire piece and lay thin toilet paper over the surface. I did test kitchen roll and blue roll, but textured tissue worked the best. Now with a stiff bristle brush, stipple the tissue into all the gaps. This does a few things. It pushes the tissue into the stone we worked so hard on, and it adds some texture and it also covers cardboard edges, while finishing with a durable surface. Cover all your models and let them dry fully. I left mine for 24 hours and once dry they're pretty solid. Now for my favourite part, dry brushing. Take a light grey, wipe most of it off your brush and gently brush all over the model. The raised areas catch the paint beautifully, leaving the base colour in the recesses. Finish with a nearly white grey and a gentler touch, focusing on edges and corners. To make the bricks pop out, we'll paint the gaps. I mix Payne's grey ink with water and run that into all the mortar lines. Watered down black paint works too, but I just love Payne's grey. Next, add some colour variation. Rail stones contain many hues. I mix weak washes of yellow, blue, red, skin tone and dark green. Randomly dab these onto the model, letting them blend in place. For the final touch, apply brown paint around the bases to help ground the model visually into your gaming table. And that's it for this stage of the keep. We now have enough terrain to create a long defensive wall, or the outer wall of a castle keep. Total cost for me was less than £5, and for cardboard and tissue I think it looks fantastic. In the next episode of Modelling Workshop we'll be building the gatehouse side of our fort, so if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that notification bell. A huge thank you as always to my patrons for your continued support. If you'd like to support the channel and get the files for this build, head over to Patreon, the link is in the description.